Video we will discuss ACCA paper F8 audit and assurance question on purchase ledger control deficiencies. In this paper, you would be required to identify the deficiency given in the scenario. You will be required to explain the deficiency and their implication and to provide recommendation on how to address those deficiencies given in the scenario. In order to attempt this question, it would be helpful if you know different stages in the purchase system. There are four main stages in the purchase system. First stage is the placing of an order. Once you place an order in the second stage, supplier will dispatch the good and you will receive the good. That is your second stage. And in the third stage, once you have received the goods, supplier will send you the invoice and you will record the invoice in your accounting system. In the fourth stage, you will settle the invoice, you will pay for that invoice. So these are the four different stages, and every stage has its own associated risks, and we need to understand the control that would be required to avoid those risks. If you look on your right hand side, there are five control mentioned for the purchase order stage. If you know these five control, you would be able to answer the question correctly. The first control that you need to understand is that purchase order must not be placed without receiving the approve purchase requisition. What does it mean? For example, if your production department or the warehouse want to buy some good, they will send you the purchase requisition. That purchase requisition must be authorized by the departmental manager or the staff who is authorized to do so. Once you have received the authorized purchase requisition, then you will proceed with the placing of the order. In the given exam scenario, if the examiner tells you that the purchase requisition is not authorized, then you would understand that this is a deficiency in the purchase system, and you will explain the implication that if the purchase requisition is not authorized and the order are being placed, then there is a risk that the goods that are bought are not for the purpose of business and they may not meet the business requirement criteria. In order for you to recommend how are you going to address the deficiency identified, you will say that all the purchase order must be placed once authorized purchase requisition is received. That is the first control that you need to be aware of. Then the second control that you would like to put in place is, and in order that you are going to place must be from one of the suppliers in the approved supplier list. If in the exam given scenario, examiner tells you that the order is placed without researching on the quality of the good or the price or the delivery time, then you will identify it as a deficiency in the purchase system. And what will be the implication if the order is placed without researching on the on the good quality and the pricing and the purchase delivery delivery of the goods, that you may the good that you are going to receive may not be of a good quality and may be at a higher price instead of good that are good quality at a competitive price. So that is the implication if you are going to place order with any supplier. This is very logical. For example, I'll assume that you want to buy something from eBay or Amazon and you enter your requirement in the search field. Then you can see that there will be many different people or the buyers will be buying from many different supplier lists. And you are not just going to, when you see the list, you are not just going to place the order with them. You would like to know how they are, like you will like to see the view of the customer in terms of their quality and the pricing, and also the how promptly the supplier deliver the good. So you will first review it, then you will place the order with the one that you find more appropriate. In the same way, businesses do not just go and place the order. They have to find out the quality, how good is the supply in terms of quality, the pricing, and the prompt delivery service. services. For that purpose, the control that you are going to define would be, you would say that there should be a established approved supplier list in terms of the quality, pricing, and how promptly they deliver, and any order that is placed must be from one of the suppliers within that purchase authorized supplier list. That is the control that you are going to explain. The third risk that you may have, or the control first, let's discuss the control first. The control is that all the purchase order generated by the system must be sequentially numbered. In the exam question, examiner may tell you that the purchase order generated are not sequentially numbered. If that is mentioned, you would understand that is a deficiency in the purchase system. And what would be the implication? It is easier to understand. You can see that, for example, if the purchase order are sequentially number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and when you are reviewing the order, you can see 1, 2, 4, 5, you can easily identify the order number 3 is missing. You can identify, you can investigate and chase for the order. But assume if the purchase order are not sequentially numbered, then you would not be able to know that if any purchase order is missing. You will not know that if any purchase order is still unfulfilled. If that happens, what is going to be the implication? You would know that if you do not receive the good because the purchase order was missing, then you would have a stock out situation, and your customers will not be happy if you are unable to deliver goods to them because you did not have the goods. That is why it is very important for you to know that all the orders are fulfilled, and in order to prevent any good stock out and or any situation like that we have mentioned, you would define the control. You will recommend that all systems should be configured in a way that all the purchase order that are generated should be sequentially numbered, and you will also perform sequence check regularly to find out if there is any order missing. That was the third control that we have discussed. Next control that you may have, you should be aware of, is that all purchase order must be authorized before the order are placed. If that is not happening, if, for example, in the given exam scenario, if the examiner tells you that the purchase order are placed without authorization, then that is a deficiency in the purchase system, and you would say that if the orders are not authorized, there is a risk that the order that is being placed and the goods that are being bought are not for the purpose of business, and they may not be for the business requirement, and there is an increased chance of fraud. So that is the implication of if the order is not authorized, and then you will recommend control that will address the deficiency. You would say that company must establish an authorized signatory list whereby different people are given different authorization limit. For example, let's say if you are buying some goods, order are placed for up to 10,000 pounds, then the purchase manager would be is approved to authorize that one. Any order above 10,000 and up to 50,000, that would be purchase department director who will authorize that purchase order. Likewise, any order above 50,000 would be authorized by the other senior member of the company. So these are the design. This is the control that you have put in place, that there must be a authorized signatory list, and you will also recommend that that authorization matrix must be built in or incorporated in the purchasing module, so that if someone tries to authorize any order that is beyond the authorization limit, that system will deny them the access to authorize that purchase order. So that is the control that you are going to recommend in your given exam scenario if you are told that the purchase order has not been authorized. Or you may be told that the orders are authorized are above certain amount. For example, let's say all order above 5,000 have been authorized, but any order that is below 5,000, it is just placed by the purchasing assistant without any authorization. If that is the case, again, this is a deficiency, because purchasing assistant can put any order for himself, for example, because the order is not being authorized or checked. So that is a deficiency, and this is a control that I have, as we have discussed, you will be recommending to address the deficiency. And the first and the final the control that you would have in place is that there must be the access to amend the supplier master data file must be restricted to authorized personnel only. And if in the exam question you are told that everyone has got the access to amend the supplier master data file, that is a deficiency. You would understand that this is a deficiency, and what would be the implication of that deficiency. Think about it. If everyone has got the access to amend the detail in the supplier master data file, then there is a chance that a fictitious supply can be created, and you can place a fraudulent order with that fictitious supplier, and so there is, you can understand, there will be increased risks of fraud. That is why the control that you are going to recommend would be, you will say that the access to amend the supplier master data file must be restricted to authorized personnel only, staff only, and that access must be password protected. And if anyone else need access to the supplier master data file, then that access will be read only. Also, the systems are capable of producing exception report, whereby you can identify if any unauthorized attempt was made to amend any detail in the supplier master data file, that you would review to ensure that the control that you put in place has been or is being implemented. So that is what, these are the different control, and the risks are the implication that you will explain if any of the control that we have discussed is missing. So this is the stage of the purchase order and the associated controls. In the next video, we will look at the associated risk with the second stage in the purchase system, that is the once you have received the good, and all the control that we would put in place in order to ensure that all the risks that are associated with the second stage are covered.